up, gamers? I'm Jason.
And I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we are going to be reviewing Saban's Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, designed by Jonathan Ying and published by Renegade Game Studios. Now this, I believe, is the first in their line of miniatures games. You can expect to see Scott Pilgrim and a few others coming in the near future from what I understand, but this is their flagship, their baby. With that being said, I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who's going to tell you more about the game itself.
So it's a cooperative game that's for ages 14 and above, 2 to 5 players. The box claims that it's 45 to 60 minutes. I would say it's closer to 60.
I think you can definitely get it down to that 45-minute mark, especially with multiple plays and more experience. We have quite a few plays of the game. But that being said, it's going to depend on how many Rangers you have, because the game is expandable up to 6 Rangers. I mean, the guy's right there on the shirt. He's what really made Power Rangers like the coolest. So what's a Power Rangers game without your 6th Ranger?
I don't know. What is it?
I don't know, but it's definitely missing something, kind of like the show was until the Green Ranger showed up.
Okay.
So Julie, what time is it?
It's morphin' time.
It's morphing time? I thought it was time to grab our drinks.
Okay.
I thought I'd be doing the morphing time line. Why are you taking my lines? I was going to do that.
It's mine now. It's time to grab our drinks.
Grab our best friend.
Can we say and morph it to the table?
No, but they would do say things like more phenomenal and stuff like that. And we actually should add one last thing we actually neglected before we take this to the table, because we're so excited to talk about the game, to tell you what you're going to be doing in the game.
Well, you're going to be fighting putties and super putties.
Yeah.
And we're going to be moving around the city, fighting
Angel Grove. Sorry, I just had to say that.
Okay. Fighting putties and super putties and monsters, including Rita Repulsa, I think.
Yes, and you're going to be rolling dice. So dice, miniatures. We're doing this a little out of order, but it's everything we like in a game, at least looking at the box. So,
and it's cooperative.
Yes, so keep it right here. You'll find out our thoughts as we get back to action. Well, back to reviewing, I should say, after we go through the how to play. Now let's take a look at the components for Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. Now, I'm going to let you guys in on a little bit of a secret. I'm actually filming this after I filmed the components for Shattered Grid. Why? Well, I was editing the video and I didn't like what I had shot. And as I had a chance to take the game to a friend's house, I had sleeved the game to protect it. It's going to be a game that I play quite often. So we're now doing this with sleeved cards. It does add a little bit of color to the component presentation, and it should add some fun when we are filming the how to play as well. But restarting, want better quality. That's enough of that. Let's dive into the components, and we are going to start with the dice. Now, you do get 6 die that come with the game. Well, 6 dice. You do have a double hit, which is on one side, single hits, 2 sides that are blanks, and you get a total of 6 of them. Now you can buy the dice expansion, which adds some colors and, makes it a little more specific to each Ranger. We're not showcasing any elements that don't come with the base game as we cover these components. Now we do have the locations, such as the command center, double-sided. The red side is for assault mode. Now we get 4 locations that come with the game: the Industrial District, Ernie's Juice Bar, Angel Grove Park, and Angel Grove High. Now each area will have different types of enemies that spawn. They may become panicked, meaning enemies can't spawn there. There's also a red side where you may get a negative or a positive effect. So for example, in Angel Grove High, each Ranger has their maximum hand size reduced by 2. They lose any excess cards. In the Industrial District, well, at the start of each battle, a Ranger may draw a card, then place one back into their hand, getting something they need. Not a bad location. You can actually recover a lot better at Ernie's Juice Bar than anywhere else, gaining up to 9 shields instead of 6 shields of cards. don't worry, we're going to go through all of this in the how to play. And lastly, Angel Grove Park. At the end of each round, you move a foot soldier from this location to a non-panicked location. So people can easily move around the city from the park. I like that things are definitely, thematic. I mean, the Rangers get weakened by school because that was always one of their challenges. So it works very well. We've got the Megazord token. Now you can buy a miniature for it. If you've seen us on Facebook and Instagram, we do have the Megazord Mini, but once again, it's not included in the base game, so we just have the token. Here we've got the Panic token, which you use just to showcase that a location is panicked and cannot take any more figures. We then have damage. So damage tokens, the energy token to track your energy. And then we have the lead ranger token, which you just use to track which ranger is acting during combat. Now we've got our enemies here and we'll take a look at them. But before that, I want to just mention the power board, because here we've got our power level tracker token, which is based on the power morphers. So you can see, you'll just slide it up very easily. And of course, on the power board, we have the Zord cards ending in the Dino Megazord. It's the last one you can summon. Then you've got the Mastodon, Saber-Tooth Tiger, Pterodactyl, Tyrannosaurus, the Triceratops. Each of them has a specific ability. If you're playing a 5-player game, each ranger will get their own Zord. At lower player counts, you can decide who gets the Zord of the rangers that aren't in the game. Now, let's look at the enemies. We'll start with the minions, and let's not knock everyone over. We've got the Super Putty Patrollers. They can actually go on the power board. That's what happens when you defeat them. That's how you level up. Then we have the Putty Patrollers. Do like the detail on both of the minis. They look very much like they do in the show. Here we've got Madame Woe, another one of the big villains and one of the more recognizable ones from Season 1. Of course, Pudgy Pig, who can forget him? He ate the power weapons. We then have Bones, another great villain. I do love the look of him with the top hat, the cape. I always liked him even when I was a kid. The Nasty Knight, who was truly one of the most fearsome villains that the Rangers fought. We've got some nice details on his shield. If you have watched our unboxing, you may want to skip this part. We do have timestamps down below in the video description, which will let you jump ahead just to see how to play. Then lastly, we've got Rita Repulsa. I think they've done a great job of catching her spirit, like in terms of the way she looked on the show. Really like the mini, like the detail on her staff, and it's just very cool. Now let's get these putties back where they belong, in line. Now we'll take a look at the 2 decks of cards that come with enemies. Well, here we have our deployment deck, which is divided into districts. So each district has their own type of card that they will deploy. So Super Putty Patrollers. You also have just the individual deployment card. This changes to 3 in a 6-player game. It goes up to 3 putties for just a single deployment card. I think they actually should have printed new cards, but that's me. It wouldn't have been that much more. So each area is different. Angel Grove Park is for the Putty Patrollers. Angel Grove High is once again the Super Putties. And then we'll take a look at Ernie's Juice Bar, who are once again the putties. So as you can see, each location that you use in the game, you need to use its corresponding location deck. Now, we also have the boss summons and the monster summons. So we'll just place this back down here. So you've got Bones, Madame Woe, Pudgy Pig, Nasty Knight, reflected by the monster card on the back. And then the boss, who is represented by Rita Repulsa on the back of their card. And these get shuffled into this deck. Not all of them. Don't worry, we'll teach you how to do it on setup. Next, we've got the enemy battle cards here. So we'll start with the big bads and the monsters. Almost had a nice cut there. We'll place the Super Putty Patrollers here. So we've got cards for Rita, name of the card, health of the card. You've got to damage cards, defeat the different cards to effectively defeat the enemies. Any effects like fast or guard Don't worry, we'll talk about them in the how to play. And you can see what the effect is here. So deal 6 damage to the ranger with the fewest cards in their deck. That's just a taste of what you'll see with Rita. I don't want to spend too much time on this stuff. So with Bones, we get some cards like Fast and Guard. We just got those as well. So for example, with this one, deal 4 damage to the lead ranger. So whoever has the lead ranger token would be taking the damage. Well, put that back. We'll take a look at some of the cards we get with Pudgy Pig. So with Pudgy Pig, we've got like Ravenous Hunger, the infamous one when he ate the power weapons. So fast and passives. So some cards are passive. So while this card is in play, Rangers cannot play cards with an energy cost greater than 0. That is a gigantic pain in the butt. We then have the Nasty Knight, who is truly a fearsome warrior. So fast, deal 4 damage to the lead ranger and 2 damage to each other ranger. So as you can see, he's got some nasty abilities with Blade Beam and Smash and Slash. I know I didn't show too many of Rita's cards. I wanted to keep it more of a surprise for people that don't want any spoilers. Now with Madam Will, we got Breath of Death, which is a fast card. And each ranger must discard 1 random card from their hand. Oof, that is painful. So we'll take this off camera. We'll take just a quick look at what we get with the putties. So we're starting with the regular putty patroller cards. So like Swarm Attack, deal 1 damage and increase this damage by 1 for each foot soldier in the location. You also get some guard cards, passive cards like Flanking. Then when we're looking at the super putties, they get cards with fast and guard. They can drain some energy. They can even deploy a super putty patroller to the location. So pretty annoying to deal with. They each have their own decks, as you can see. And that's what we're going to be using for the villain decks. So we'll get this all put back where it was. I'll also put the command center back out as I neglected to do that. And we're now going to move on to the Rangers. Now, as you can see, each Ranger has their own character card. Now, the cards aren't double-sided or anything like that. They do have a pretty cool back. I like it. It's the cover art from the box, and each ranger does have their own special ability, and it does say once per battle, which does mean battle, not per round, so pay attention to that. So Jason can let you reroll. Trini can play 2 cards of the same type during 1 ranger activation. Billy can strategize to let you put a card back and draw a new card. Kimberly's got her quick shot, which lets you deal 1 damage to an enemy card of your choice. Then Zach Taylor has his signature hip hop keto, which lets him, deal some damage to another card, provided he defeats an enemy. So we'll go in order of the morphing sequence. We'll start with Zach. I really like the model, the Power Axe. Seen some really nice painting job done on these. I really do enjoy the fact that all the Rangers are color coded. We do have Kimberly, who I think is pretty cool. Her bow does seem to have gotten, I don't know if this was just when it shipped or since I've stored it, a little bit bent. So it is a little fragile, not too fragile, nothing that's going to damage it, but she looks fantastic. In a minute, we've got Billy, Triceratops, another great miniature, and I love a lot of his cards. I think pose-wise, Trini might be my favorite. I think it really just characterizes the character in terms of being ready to leap into action with the twin daggers. And then, of course, the original Red Ranger, Jason Lee Scott, just in that, standing tall, taking charge pose. Now, each Ranger, as you can see here, has 10 decks of cards. I did color code them. Now, this can affect stuff if you're playing a 2-player game, because you'll know when we talk a little bit more about the rules and how to play. You got to mix some stuff together. So just to show you, and I don't want to damage the sleeve, but should be able to easily get a card out. So this is what the card looks like in the standard back. I do like the art, but still prefer color coding them. It's just something I found fun to do. So I'll just give you a flavor of the deck. So I do have the Kickstarter expansion for Jason, meaning these cards shouldn't be here, but you get to see them anyways. They're right here. We got the Dragon Shield and the Dragon Dagger. Now, right now, this is an exclusive character. If you want it, take a look at the Kickstarter. It's starting back up in September. So if you're playing the Dragon Shield version of Jason, you start with 12 cards. So I'm going to take those out because they weren't supposed to still be in there. We've got 10 cards, so this is what you're getting in the base game. So as you can see, Power Sword, Block, Tyranno Slash, Leading the Charge. Everything very thematic for a Red Ranger. Now, let's take a look and see what we have with regards to Trini. So, Tenacity, she can pick some cards back. Precise Strike, just jump, stab. Absolutely love it. She's got her Power Daggers, which is another great card. The Saber-Tooth Strike, which lets her move really fast, like a Saber-Tooth Tiger, and just kick some butt. Here we've got Billy. So Billy's like knowledge is power, showcasing how smart he was. His Power Lance. Mighty Maces, get some cool stuff if you reveal a card for defense. All of them do have a Blade Blaster. So there you have it. Lastly, we'll take a look at Kimberly. So she's got her acrobatics, showcasing what she liked to do when she wasn't a ranger. Take aim, which is a really good maneuver. Her arrow shot. Flying kick, which is a great card to gain an energy as well. Then the power bow, which lets you ignore guard. Very important. Not every card lets you ignore guard. So you can target some dangerous cards potentially. Her arrow shot lets you do that as well. And lastly, we've got Zach. It's probably got my favorite ability, which is this one right here, the Power Axe, especially if you can boost the amount of dice that it has. So after rolling, choose 2 dice from this attack and deal that much damage to each adjacent enemy card. I've actually pretty much one-shotted some enemies with the Power Axe. Smooth Moves, which is a great reaction to defend and also gain some energy. Blade Blaster. That can be reckless charging in, as we saw on the show. So overall, good stuff. And there you have it. We've taken a look at all the components. Pretty sure everything still looked good even though it was sleeved. So with that being said, we're now going to move on and take a look at how you play the game. Now let's take a look at how you set up Power Rangers, Heroes of the Grid. But we're also going to take a quick look at the rulebook, something that I neglected to do. So you do have a nice gameplay reference guide on the back. The rulebook does include just a teeny bit of art by Dan Mora, but you get a nice list of the components. Everything that you need in order to set up the game, which we're about to go through, is right in here. Now, there are a few things about the rulebook that I was not the biggest fan of. I think it could definitely use some clarifications, and they are working on an FAQ, but just want to take a quick look at that. And now let's start getting the game all set up. So you're going to start with the command center surrounded by 4 locations. Now in the base game, you have a set 4. If you do have a Kickstarter expansion or Shattered Grid, you can add some. Next, what we're going to do is set up the power board. You take the Dino Megazord, you place it at the bottom. Next, you shuffle up the cards for the other Zords, and you just place them there on top. You're going to want to place the power tracker at 0, and just for the sake of keeping things clean, we'll place the Megazord token where it is in reach. Now, you're also going to want to pick your heroes. Now, I may have to modify some stuff, but this is going to be the setup for a 4-player game. So we're going to play with the leader, the Red Ranger, Jason Lee Scott. We will play with Trini Kwan, Kimberly Hart, and Billy Cranston. Sorry, Zach, even though you're like probably my favorite Ranger right now, we're not using you this time out. So that's what you're going to do. You also then need to take out action tokens, 2 for each Ranger. Now, I am going to go double check the top-down view. I should have enough room, but if anything is off camera or not perfectly positioned, I do apologize. I currently do not have anyone manning the top-down view. So we'll just make sure everything is as condensed as possible. Each Ranger will start with 2 action tokens. And then we'll draw 5 cards from their 10-card deck. Now, I will place their decks out I'm going to do that shortly. I'm just going to wait till we get to the end of the video because I do not want stuff to be cut off by the camera for a long time. All the Rangers will now start in the command center. So we're going to take our starting Rangers, place them into the command center. Now, I know I just showed you the rule book, but we do need to show it again because depending on the amount of players that you're playing with, the game is designed around 5 Rangers. You do have the rules for different player counts. So for example, on page 18, you got the rules for a game with 6 Rangers. Then you also have the rules on page 14 for 4 Rangers, 3 Rangers, or 2 Rangers. Now it's with 2 Rangers that you need to mix combat decks. So sleeving them the way I did may not be to your advantage. Now what we need to do is during setup, we place 2 action tokens and 4 energy tokens instead of 3 on the command center board. And the 2 action tokens may be used as recovery actions. Now the energy in the command center represents our health, essentially. It means how many times we can be defeated. So we will place 4 of them on the command center board. The rest of the energy, just to keep our space nice and neat. You do get a nice sort of space for it provided for you right here on the power board. Now you're going to want to make sure that your damage and panic tokens are now available. I just dumped out the bag. If you're wondering, some stuff is popping on camera as I dumped it out off camera. So we'll just stack the tokens right there. There's 2 of our 4 panic tokens. We'll get out the other 2, as well as the next action tokens. So we do want to place 2 action tokens that can be seen and used fairly easily in the command center. Next, we need to set up the deployment deck. Now, how do we set up the deployment deck? Well, first and foremost, you're going to ensure that your monster and villain cards are readily available, as depending on how things get set up, you're going to need them. What you will always need, though, and you can just set up the 2 decks, and I'm probably going to end up moving these tokens afterwards, but you're going to want your Super Putty Patrollers and your Putty Patroller decks here. You're going to want to shuffle them. I did that off camera. Next, we have the monster cards and the boss card. So this is where setup gets very specific. So you're going to set aside the boss you want to fight. In case of just the base game, it is Rita Repulsa. We're going to put aside these cards for now. Well, I probably threw that off camera. Apologies. We'll keep that there. We're going to shuffle up the monster cards. And we are going to deal out 2. You will only ever be facing 2 monsters. If you want to know what they are, you can look. You probably shouldn't. In terms of the how to play, I might look, you know what, I'm not going to, because it can just make things a little easier. You can return the monsters that are not out to the box. Next, what you need to do is shuffle up all of these locations and make sure they get a nice, good shuffle, because you want to try to get as much variety in what you're doing. And we're going to build up this deployment deck. So to do the deployment deck, the first thing we do is we deal out the top 5 cards. And these cards are then going to form the top of the deployment deck. The next 5, we then take a monster, shuffle it in. Now, I'm not looking. I'm staring right at this microphone that's in my face. The monster can come to the top, which means you can potentially spawn the monster very early on in the game. So try not to look. So that makes the second level. We then once again deal out another 5 cards. We'll add the next monster into that section of the deck. And during each turn, you're only revealing 5 deployment cards. So we put that in the next spot. I moved Angel Grove High, something that maybe some of the former students there, like Bulk and Skull, would have liked. Lastly, we shuffle Rita into the deck, the boss, and they go, oh, I just looked down. Here's an example of when you could actually get the boss showing up on the second round, because you draw 5 cards, and we'll talk about deployment, but if you do see a boss or a monster when you flip a card, they deploy with the previous card. Don't worry, it'll make a little bit more sense in the how to play. We'll still shuffle her just in there because I saw it. And then that makes up your deployment deck. Now we're going to want to have our 6 dice readily available. I haven't seen what everything quite looks like from the top down, so we're going to place that out. The last thing we need to do is for each ranger, shuffle their starting deck, and we're going to draw 5 cards. Now, with a 4-ranger setup, I don't have enough room to keep the discard pile and the hands on camera at all times. So you can see what I've got for Jason's cards. This is going to go off camera. Let's set up Trini. We'll shuffle up her cards. Once again, if there's some stuff that is slipped off camera right now, I will be adjusting it afterwards. Draw the top 5 cards. Ooh, 2 Stabers, 2 Strikes. She's in a great position right now. We'll place that right here. Next, we need to get Kimberly. So we take her 10 cards, mix them up. So we'll then place these cards in her draw pile. See what she has. Take aim, power bow, blade blaster, arrow shot. Well, very well balanced hand for her. And lastly, we've got Billy's cards. And I looked at the bottom, shouldn't have. Oh, those mighty maces are down there in any case. Keep on shuffling. Place his pile there. We got Blade Bastard, Tactical Strike, Mighty Maces, Knowledge's Power, and the Power Lance. So those decks are off camera. Now the game is set up. We're ready to play. We need to go into the deployment phase. So for those of you that are wondering how we're going to go through this, how to play, I always like to go through one turn naturally. So we're going to play through one full turn of the game. Then we're going to talk about how you're going to face monsters, as well as Rita Repulsa, and potentially win Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. So keep it right here, because now that we're set up, in a few moments, it's going to be back to action. Now let's teach you how to play Saban's Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. For those of you just joining us via the timestamps, quick breakdown as to what we have done. This is a 4-player setup. If you want to play with other player counts, please consult the rulebook. We do have 2 extra action tokens to use for recover actions. We also have 4 life, essentially. That's what the energy tokens in the command center mean. And that's really the only thing that is different. Except, I just want to not forget to mention that these 2 recover actions may be used by any ranger. So we need to now go into the deployment phase. If you were watching the setup, I just put out some guys here. I've got more off camera because that's definitely not going to be enough. So now we need to spawn the enemies. First, what we do is we reveal the top card. Then we take a look at the location, which is 2 Super Putty Patrollers in Angel Grove High. I'm going to try to place them further up to give me a little bit more game space. Next, we have 2 Super Putty Patrollers in the Industrial District. And then I have again 2 Super Putty Patrollers, this time in Angel Grove Park. Then I have a Putty Patroller in the Industrial District. And next we then have 1 Super Putty Patroller in Angel Grove Park. We're out of minis, so I'll pull one that I have off camera. What we then do after the deployment phase, we shuffle up the 5 cards. They then go to the bottom of the deployment deck. Now I will refresh. Oops. He just wanted to go flying. The minis a little bit. As any minis that are defeated are going to be going on to my experience track. Hopefully we can defeat enough in order to level up in this first turn. That would be awesome. Now, if you're wondering what a ranger can do, well, they may take 2 actions. And the actions may be move, battle, and recover. So we're going to go through each of them. We're going to start with Jason and Trini. They're going to move on Angel Grove Park because it's just a dangerous location. So they will move first to engage. Now, one of them must spend an action to initiate a battle. That will be Trini. So she shall initiate the battle. What we then do is we draw cards equal to the number of foot soldiers. Now I'm going to play them in this area right here. Probably going to go on the board a little bit. So we do get a fast card and a guard card in Golf. Now what guard means is it will protect cards that are adjacent to it. They could be below, above, left, and right. Guard cards may not protect each other. And then if you draw, for example, the moment you draw a fast card, it goes to the top of the line. Doesn't matter if another fast card was already out. So we reveal the next card. And this is what happens. Now what fast does is it changes the order of the game. The way it would normally work would be ranger, enemy, ranger, enemy, ranger. And then the enemy would go again. At this point, the Rangers will get one final turn. I think I might have said one too many turns, but when you're fighting 3 putties, the Rangers will get 4 turns. Unless there is a fast card, which essentially eliminates one of the turns because it changes the sequence, meaning it will be enemies, Rangers, enemies, Rangers, enemies, and then Rangers with the final turn. Once all enemy cards have activated, the Rangers will always get one final turn, and then combat shall end. So how are we going to do this? Well, we want to kill all these guys, hopefully only using one battle so that Jason can leave and reinforce someone else. To do that, we're going to do Trini's Saber-Tooth Strike. Now, before I forget, every battle, you gain 2 energy that is put into the shared pool. Trini is going to be our lead ranger, but as Ingolf goes up first, we have the fast and guard, meaning it drains 1 energy, which then goes back into the pool that we have there. So this card is triggered. This is going to trigger next, dealing 3 damage. We obviously want to take it out so we don't have to take damage, but it is guarded by the first card, meaning we have to attack the first card. We could also attack Putty Pummel on the back if we so chose. But luckily, Trini has got her 2 Saber-Tooth Strikes in hand, which is very good, and it costs 1 energy. So we're going to start with the first one. Hopefully we get a good roll here. So we play Saber-Tooth Strike, which costs 1 energy. We'll spend the last one from the common pool. If this attack defeats the target, you may immediately perform a second attack with 2 dice. It is a 2-die attack. So we're attacking the first card in Golf, and that's not a great roll. We're going to use Jason's special ability that he can use once per battle to roll again, and there we go. That is a great roll. So we would have done 3 damage to the card. We could place the damage, but it's defeated. We essentially just flip it over. However, as we defeated the card, we trigger the text on the attack. Trini may then make a 2-die attack against the next card. Could be this card as well. We want to do this one because it triggers next. As the guard card is defeated, this card is no longer guarded. We do get 2 damage on the Putty Pummel. Now, as we can do double strike, which can be used once per battle, we may then play our second Saber-Tooth Strike, once again costing us energy. And we will attack the Putty Pummel for another 2 damage, meaning it is now defeated. We then flip the card over. We'll attack the next card, and unfortunately, we only deal 1 damage. Now, that was Trini's turn. both Saber-tooth strikes will then go into her discard pile, which is off camera. We then trigger the next card, but as it's defeated, nothing happens, meaning it is now the Ranger's turn again. Now, Trini may go again, but she only has 3 cards left in her deck. So we don't necessarily want to take the 3 damage. She's got some maneuvers, other cool stuff. Don't really need her to go. So Jason's going to be the one to take it out. He's got a few different things that he can do. He's got Lead the Charge, Team Tactics, or Tyranno Slash. So Lead the Charge is a solid one. It's a 0-cost card. It won't cost him any energy as we don't have anything left in the pool. That's what we're going to try, but it is a little tricky as we need to get a good roll. Otherwise, we'll take some damage. But we got it. 2 damage. Putty Pummel is defeated. As all enemy cards are defeated, we then take them, place them back with their respective deck. We shuffle the cards up. All defeated enemies then go on to the experience track. Now, if there was any energy left in the shared pool, we could decide to allocate it to any of the Rangers that were in combat, but note that Rangers can only ever store 1 energy. As Jason was helpful to Trini, he's still, still in good shape. He's going to move over into the Industrial District. And what will then happen is Kimberly is going to join Jason. It might be beneficial for Billy to as well, but let's see what happens. He can always join the battle later. Excuse me. Now, when you initiate a battle, it is between all Rangers at a location. So, for example, if we had more enemies here, Trini could still participate in the fight. Now, Kimberly must trigger the battle. We will then draw. It's the order of our choice. We'll start with a Putty Patroller with a leaping attack. We'll draw the Super Putty Patroller, which has the Swarm attack, followed by the next Super Putty Patroller, which has Regrow, which is annoying. Now, at the start of each battle, Kim may deal 1 damage to an enemy of her choice. So we'll hit the Swarm attack because it's a lot harder. Now, one thing I didn't show in the first battle, as it didn't apply, at the start of the battle, the Rangers may draw up to 5 cards. So that's the first thing Jason is going to do. He's going to draw up to 5 cards, as he only had 4 in his hand. We also add another 2 energy into the communal pool. So we've got a few different things that we can do. We've got some good cards from Kim. She can even feed Jason a lot of energy this turn, which I think is what we're going to do. So we play Take Aim. We gain 1 energy, which goes into the shared pool. You may immediately play another card if it's an attack. You may reroll any number of dice following this attack. So the next card we're going to play is in the Flying Kick, which is going to give us another energy. So we've got 2 energy here already. It's a 2-die attack. We're going to roll it. And we do defeat the Putty Patroller's Leaping Kick. This will now trigger. It is once again the Ranger turn. And we need to take out that card. So we've got a lot of energy here. We're going to spend 1 energy. Jason's going to play Tyranno Slash, which is a 3-die attack. You may reroll any number of dice during this attack. Don't forget he still has his reroll ability, as it's once per battle. Per battle means literally every battle, not per round. It's a good thing that was a 3-die attack. We then defeat the Swarm attack Putty Patrollers. They will then trigger again. So looking at the cards that we have, we've got a lot of energy. We don't necessarily want to play things like the Power Sword. I'm actually going to just play another Tyranno Slash. Spend the energy. So we actually didn't need to do as much energy generation as I thought. Things have been going well. We got tons of damage, so kind of overkill there. We did defeat 3 enemies. We take the cards, put them back into their deck, and as you can see now, we have actually leveled up, meaning we are gaining our first Zord. Now the Zord is going to be kept off camera, just don't have quite the room for it. And one thing I do apologize, I hadn't been using the Lead Ranger token, so it's one of the things I forget. It's something that is useful, especially when you've got cards that attack the Lead Ranger. But as you can see just from the way we play the game, it can easily be forgotten. So just keep that in mind when you're playing. If you're good at remembering who the Lead Ranger is, you don't necessarily need the token, but it's always good to have. Let's reveal our Zord. We gain the Mastodon, and this can go to any player. This one we'll just say it goes to Billy. You may exhaust this card to immediately remove 1 soldier figure from any location and place it on the experience track. Well, now what I'm doing, we remove all the guys that are here. All the leftover energy goes back into the shared pool. Unfortunately, we really weren't able to use it. And Billy will trigger the Mastodon, exhausting it because it can be used once per round. Exhausted. And we get rid of the Super Putty, placing it right on the track. Well, we know what Billy's doing. He's going to move. He's going to try to fight the Super Putty, so we draw the Super Putty card. It's just Putty Pummel. We have 2 energy. Take a look at Billy's hand. So we've got Tactical Strike, which is pretty good. But we also have Mighty Maces, which will give us the best chance to take the guy out right away. So we're going to try for the Mighty Maces. Put that down. We'll spend 1 energy from the communal pool. So Mighty Maces does have a special ability, but it's only on defense. So if we do reveal the card for defense, it will gain an energy. Pretty cool. We haven't even got to defense yet, so we'll see that shortly, I'm sure. We'll roll the dice. We unfortunately only get 2 damage. So that actually works out well. We're going to get to see defense. What now happens is we trigger the Putty Pummel for 3 damage. What you then do is you reveal the top card of your deck. Now, if it is equal to or less than the damage, it goes in your discard pile. So counter jab goes right into my discard pile. I then must reveal a second card, which is Tactical Strike, which equals the rest of the damage. So this goes into my discard pile as well. Now, if I had revealed, for example, the Mighty Maces, a card with 3 shields, it would have gone to the bottom of my deck. So we'll just imagine for a second, my second card was Mighty Maces. It exceeds the 2 damage that's left. It will go at the bottom of my deck. Now, if I'm in combat with another Ranger, well, they might have a reaction that can protect me. Since I looked at the cards, I'm just shuffling them up. So Billy gets 1 last turn here as this card is now triggered. So what we're going to do is play Tactical Strike. So after you play this card, it goes on the top of your deck. Hopefully we get 1 hit. It is a 2-die attack. We got it. We then defeat the Putty. So we'll take the Putty Pummel, place it somewhere back in this deck of Putty Patrollers. The energy gets returned to the shared pool. And don't forget I moved an attack, so that was 2 actions. And we've now cleared the board. The last thing that we have left is our recover actions. So let's see what we do when we recover. Well, to recover, you may return 6 shields worth of cards into your deck. So for example, Jason used both his Tyranno Slash and Lead the Charge. These are going to go back into his deck. When you do that, you shuffle the cards. They do not go back in your hand. They can now be drawn again on the next time when combat begins. Now, taking a look at what we have, Billy's got 1 6 shield as well. Trini has her both saber-tooth strikes, which would be great, but what's pretty cool is we do have tenacity, which means at some point we can actually get these cards back into our deck in any order. So as we have tenacity on our hand, it doesn't make much sense for her. And while Kim, she only has 3 shields worth of cards, so that's how you count it. With Recover, once again, it's up to 6 shields. Billy's the one that makes the most sense. Billy will recover, take all those cards, shuffle them up, and we're going to be ready to go into a new round. Now, when we go into a new round, we will unexhaust everything. We're going to go back through the deployment phase, and we're going to take a look at how you fight a monster. There is also a special action that you can take, so we're going to cover this as part of the how to play. We'll just do that correctly. For example, if a ranger had moved back into the command center as their action, they may then power up. So the power up action is listed in the rule book. I believe it's on page 14. So location effects. So it talks about the location effects, the morphing grid, so energy tokens. Well, I'm not exactly sure specifically where the power-up information is. However, it's right around this area of the rulebook. I don't want to waste any more time. Essentially, what happens when you power up, you're able to fully regenerate like your hand. So if you have, for example, best way to do this would be, let's say all of these cards were in your discard pile. You had like 1 card left. You get to fully regenerate your deck, shuffling everything back together, including like your last card. Don't worry, I'm going to take it out just as I'm keeping track of everything. And you'd essentially be fully healed, regaining your energy and everything like that. So that was a flying kick I'll take out. So that's what happens with that. You just have to move into the command center, and you essentially get fully healed. So with that being said, we're going to move on to part 2 of our how to play. We'll once again go through the deployment phase so you get an example of that. And we're going to be facing some monsters. Let's just put Jason back where he belongs and keep it right here, because shortly it's going to be back to action. And we are back with part 2 of our how to play for Saban's Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. It's time to start the deployment phase. We get 3 Putty Patrollers in Angel Grove High. Now, Angel Grove High is nearing its panic point now. Once it reaches 5 figures, it is panicked until all enemy figures have been removed. We then have 3 Super Putty Patrollers at Ernie's Juice Bar. Two Putty Patrollers at Angel Grove Park. Oh, they just won't leave you alone in the park, Trini. We have 2 Putty Patrollers at Ernie's Juice Bar, meaning that that location is now panicked. Any minion that spawns at Ernie's Juice Bar will then move counterclockwise. So if we had a 3rd minion, I said counterclockwise, I meant clockwise, would go into the industrial district. And lastly, we're going to draw 1 Putty Patroller plus a monster. So we're going to reveal what monster it is, and it is Bones. So we get Putty Patrollers, 1, and Bones in Angel Grove Park. Angel Grove Park is now also panicked. You'll place the 2 panic tokens out to symbolize they cannot take any more figures. What we then do is Bones will be shuffled back. Well, he doesn't get shuffled back. He goes out of the game because he cannot come back. We then shuffle up our cards, and they go at the bottom of the deck. Oh, we also need to finish doing this. It happens during the refresh phase. You refresh all of your actions. You would also refresh your Zords and then plan how best to take out the enemy. Now, as we really want to do our best to clean out as many guys as we can, we're going to want to engage Bones with a fair amount of prejudice, actually. So in order to do that, we're going to move. Well, Trini's going to be the one that initiate the battle, so we're going to do that. But Kimberly and Jason will join her. Trini's going to initiate. We also have the Macedon here, which we can use to immediately remove one foot soldier. As they're only putties, I don't know if I want to sort of weaken it, but this is just a how to play. It's going to make showcasing this a little bit easier. I'm going to do that. So the Macedon will get rid of one of the putties, putting it on the experience board, making our fight with Bones a little less threatening. Now, the way this is going to work, and it's a little different, we need to then reveal boss cards. So to do that, I'm going to go through all your boss cards, boss, monster. Not quite the same thing, but I often say them as the same thing. You take out the ones for Bones. You should have 8 of them. So right now, I'm missing one that's still in the deck here. So we've got our 8 cards. You shuffle them, and then you deal them out. So I'm actually going to just push everyone back a little bit into the command center because I want everyone to be able to see. So we deal the first card. So fast will go first. Now we get another fast card, which then jumps ahead of this one. Feel another card. Fast. This goes ahead. And the last card is another fast card, which then jumps ahead. These 4 cards then go back. And then underneath, we then get the next 2 cards, which come from the putties. So this card is guarding this one. This card is guarding these 2. And we're just not in a great position. We gain 2 to the shared energy pool. And first things first, Gravedigger / triggers. So each ranger must discard the bottom card of their deck. Kimberly must discard acrobatics. Now it's only rangers in the battle. Trini must discard precise strike. And Jason will discard Tyranno Slash. Well, it doesn't matter that these were the bottom cards. Don't forget, though, that when we initiate the battle, we can draw up. So Jason would draw the first top 2 cards of his deck. He wants to be in good shape. Trini, who spent a bunch of her cards, would also draw the top 2 cards of her deck. And Kimberly as well will draw the top 2 cards from her deck. We also must then drain 1 energy. So this is not the best situation to be in, but fortunately we've got some pretty good cards and some abilities. So for example, with Take Aim, which we'll play, we immediately gain an energy, and we may play an attack card. So Kimberly is going to go all out. It's Bones. It's time for the Power Bow. So you're spending 3 energy here. You're going to play the Power Bow. And let's make sure sees the lead ranger. So this card is triggered. Tap it. Means we're going to roll 6 dice and we can ignore guard. So we're going right after the Gravedigger / get rid of that card. So we're going to roll everything. And before I forget, we also get to deal 1 damage to any card. As I would have known to do the Powerball, I'm definitely going to do it to the Skeleton Sword. I might regret that, but let's see what we get. And that's a fantastic roll. Doing 6 damage. So the Gravedigger / here is just defeated. It is then the next card to go. It is now the Ranger's turn. So the next person in the best spot to play will be Jason, who will play Lead the Charge, which then goes into his discard pile. It's a 2-die attack. And then the next ranger to play may add in one more die to their attack. So we do beat the skeleton sword, which would then trigger. Just flipping them over like that because it's at the same time. So we're once again back to the ranger turn. We can take a look and see who we want to go. But getting rid of those eye lasers is a pretty big deal. We're low on energy, but Jason is going to contribute 1 energy to Kimberly so that she can play her arrow shot. 3-die attack. We got 2 damage. Gonna re-roll. Oof. That was cocked and a hit. I know. Some people say just leave it. It hit everything. I'm rolling it again. Still 0, so we get 2 damage on it. It is now the enemy's card that triggers, so it deals 3 damage to 2 different rangers. Now, Jason will go to take the damage. So he plays lead the charge. Well, actually, at this point, you know what he can do? When any ranger suffers damage, you may reduce the damage by 3. So Jason is just going to block the attack, playing both of his block cards, coming to the rescue of his friends, and we're just not going to take any damage. Now, that may be wrong. I might have to actually flip over the card, but I don't want to. It's not very clear in the rule book, but we've blocked the damage. This card is now triggered, so it is once again the ranger's turn. And we've got a lot of stuff to do. We got to get rid of that guy, but actually, you know what? I made a mistake. So we're actually going to take back the 2 block cards because we can, as their reactions, because Trini has Twin Fang teamwork. So play this card after another ranger reveals an attack to deal +1 damage to that target. So she's wanted to do Twin Fang teamwork, and we would have defeated this card. Meaning Bones is almost defeated, because to defeat Bones, defeat a monster, we have to defeat all of his cards. 4 cards. Now, unfortunately, in the situation, we have to also beat these stupid putty patrollers. We're running a little low on resources, but there's different things that we can do. So Kim is going to play her 0-cost card, the Flying Kick. She does gain 1 energy. She also gets an extra die, as Jason played lead the charge. Don't forget, the card says make an attack. What Trini did with Twin Fang teamwork was a reaction, which she's also going to probably do again. We got to get rid of those cannon fodder, and she doesn't need to, so the cannon fodder putty are defeated. They then trigger. Now we got to get some good stuff going. I don't think there's going to be a way to, well, we can block that damage, but we need some more energy here. So Trini is going to play double tenacity using her double strike. So we're going to play it both of them. We're going to gain 2 energy. I'm going to choose 2 cards. So I'm going to return them to the top of my deck. So I'm just returning everything to the top of my deck. Putting both of these in there, and we've got a total of 3 energy. So that was her turn. This then will trigger. Jason plays his block, reduce all the damage, and we gotta get rid of this card. So the only thing we can do is time for the Power Sword, which is gonna cost us 3 energy. It is a 5-die attack. The next time any ranger performs an attack during this battle, they may add 2 dice to that attack. Well, it might have been nice to play it earlier, but it's the best time for him to do it. And we got to get 5 damage to get rid of that guy. So we've got actually 5 damage. So what do you know? We've defeated Bones. It took a lot of resources. Now, the zone is no longer panicked. The putty we defeated goes onto the XP track. The other putty runs away. So he just runs away over here because the monster who was falling was defeated. We shuffle back up the cards. Bones' cards are removed. He's then out of the game. And we gain a new Zord because it's a pterodactyl. So we exhaust this card during a battle to gain 2 energy. Very good card to have. Could have used it. We gained a level for the monster. And I had been moving these up. So we're at power level 2 right now. And things aren't looking that great for the Rangers. We got a lot of putties. We got a zone that's panicked. Luckily, we can potentially regen some cards here. We've got that ability. The only person that can move twice, though, is Billy. Kimberly is just, like, she's got just about nothing. Only thing that makes sense for her would be to either recover, which actually is not so bad. She can get a lot of cards back in her deck and still be effective. So we really want to get rid of the panicked area more than anything else. I know that Trini is strong enough to do some good stuff because of her tenacity that she just did, but she's not able to trigger the battle, meaning these 3 guys are just not going to be able to be defeated potentially. So Kimberly is actually going to go to the command center. She's going to power up. She'll gain back an energy. Resets her whole deck, even your hand. You just reset everything. Power up. Draw back up to 5 cards. So Kimberly is ready for the next round. Billy's going to move to help Trini out with these Super Putty Patrollers. And you know what? Jason's going to go as well. Before he does, he'll trigger a recover action. We'll take back up to 6 shields. So that makes more sense to grab the power sword and the block more so than anything else. And let's see what happens because we're going to get to how we're going to fight the boss. But we'll do this last round of combat, and then we're going to go into how you face bosses, which is a little different, a little harder. So we then draw only 4 cards, though. So that's one thing that I didn't get a chance to mention. You will only fight a maximum of 4 enemies. So we draw the 2 Putty Patrollers, and we decide to fight 2 Super Putty Patrollers. So you can't fight more. Unfortunately, we get the engulf that goes off with fast and guard, meaning I'm just going to take 1 energy because we're going to lose 1 right away. Jason, having only 2 cards, is going to draw 3. Toronto / Power Sword and block. Trini's going to draw the top 2 cards, well, 3 cards of her deck. I know they're really good, so love that stuff. Billy's in pretty good shape, but he's going to draw the top 2 cards as well, just to get some more options. So we lost 1 energy. Billy's got 1. Jason's got some good stuff. So first things first, Jason will play Team Tactics, which is a maneuver, meaning we gain 1 energy, and another ranger of our choice might play a card. That's going to be Trini going hopefully all crazy with her Saber-tooth strike. I'm just going to show you guys both of them. I'm going to play it twice. Going after this. Hopefully things go well. We get a reroll. Come on, come on. Pff, terrible. So that costs us 2 energy. We get to try again. Could have used that last time. Defeated the card. Sorry, this should have been turned. We get to then try the flanking. But we only get 1 damage. So that didn't work as well as I would have liked. So that was Jason is the lead ranger. This card had activated. We now activate the passive card. It doesn't do any damage, but it is triggered. And actually, I couldn't have attacked that. I apologize. It would have had to have been the cannon fodder. So looking at what we have in terms of cards. We got Tactical Strike. We've got the Tyranno Slash, but we've got some blocks. Billy's gonna donate for Jason's. No, we're gonna go with something less risky. We'll just try the Tactical Strike. May not be the best move, but we gotta try something. And just another awful roll. So we have to deal 2 damage. At this point, we'll try Billy. He loses his counter jab. Loses his other counter jab. But that's then done. You know what? I always forget this because I'm playing too many Rangers. So someone would have told me I'm putting that stuff back. Twin Fang Strike. And we just defeat that. So now it's going to be Jason's turn. So let's just see what we can do. Oops, that was the discard. Yeah, so Billy's going to donate for the Tyranno Slash. A 3-die attack on the Putty Pummel. Could have used that earlier. Great roll. Defeated. Now, the Rangers still get one last turn because not all cards were defeated. The turn only ends once all cards are defeated, meaning if we look over at Trini's hand, she's got Precise Strike, 2 damage, and we'll just take these guys out. Shuffle the cards back up. We've defeated, I'm just going to put them on top for now. We've defeated 4 of them. Setting the level up. One more time. Draw the new Zord, the Tyrannosaurus. One of my favorite ones. And actually, what we should have done in the last battles, you can exhaust this card during a battle to gain 2 energy. So we could have done this during the battle to regain some energy, which then would have gone into the common pool that could have been shared with the Rangers. I know I'm correcting myself after the fact, but just a little tricky to remember the Zord when I'm handling 4 Rangers and trying to teach everyone how to play. So we'll move these guys. I'm just going to take them off camera. We now still have a few actions left. Billy's in good shape, so he's actually just going to move to the next potential trouble location. And we can do a recover action. We're probably going to do Trini because we've got her Saber-Tooth Strike, Precise Strike. I want to get those back. So that'll be the next recover action. And we're then ready for the next round. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to sort of just skip ahead and we're going to take a look at how you would fight the boss herself, Rita Repulsa. So keep it right here. I was only going to do 2 rounds of the how to play, but I've been having a good time playing the game. So we'll jump ahead and do a quick 3rd round. We're not going to go through everything. We're just going to show how a confrontation with the boss will look like. So it's going to be shortly. Back to action. Now let's take a look at what would happen if we were facing Rita Repulsa herself. So I'm going to just skip through these next 6 cards here, and we'll go through the deployment phase as if my last round was the second monster, and we're getting ready to fight Rita. So what would then happen is, and don't forget, this location would still be panicked that we didn't fully kill all the enemies. Something to keep in mind. So first thing would be 2 more Super Putty Patrollers in Angel Grove Juice Bar. They couldn't go there because it's panicked. Putting them in the Industrial District. 3 Putty Patrollers in Angel Grove Park. 2 Putty Patrollers, and Rita Repulsa in the Industrial District. So don't forget, these count as 1 spawn, 2 Super Putty Patrollers in Angel Grove High, and then the final one, our 6th card that we need to draw, 1 Super Putty Patroller in Angel Grove Park. Rita would then get removed. And once again, the cards will get shuffled. Not shuffling them as we're not going to take a look at them. Or I'll shuffle this up quickly as I didn't shuffle it last time. And these guys are going to move just sort of in the back here, kind of hanging out because I want some space to showcase Rita's cards. And in order to win the game, we just have to beat Rita. So let's reset everything. Our Zords are unexhausted, and the Rangers are ready for battle. I always forget how to flip these tokens back properly. Now everyone would be obviously charging at Rita. Now the boss plays pretty much the same as everyone else, except you have to defeat 6 of their cards. And they're a lot tougher. First things first, would use the Mastodon to take this guy out. We've got Rita's cards. We'll just move the token to here for the moment. We'll take out the first 4 cards fast. This one goes ahead of it. Pretty much all of her cards are fast. Guard. Placing that card here, and the last card, fast, would be Wicked Hex. Now, I hadn't done it, but let's just take a look. Jason's looking pretty good. But he only has 3 cards in his deck. He's not going to draw a card. Now, as we're fighting Rita, taking a recover action might not be a bad idea beforehand. So that's something that Trini would actually have done. Let's get everything, let's get all our cards on the table. Jason's actually the one in the worst shape too, so before we would have gone over there, we'll use those recover actions. I know I'm doing this after the fact, but also trying to teach you guys the game. So don't make your recover action after looking at the boss's cards, we'll say. Next, we've got 3 putties. Oof. While this card is in play, each time another enemy card deals damage, increase the damage by 1. We've got 2 of those. That is really bad. And then we get the Putty Pummel. So now we must deal 6 damage to the Ranger with the fewest cards in their deck. At this point, everyone would be drawing up. So Billy would have 5. Kim already has 5. Trini only has 1 card, so she'd draw 4. And Jason draws 1. Now, I know it's Billy because he's the only one with a guy left in the discard pile. I also have the 2 energy here. So we deal 6 damage, so let's see what happens. 1, this card is revealed for defense. Deal 1 damage to an enemy card of your choice. So that's not so bad. We get to deal 1 damage. So right back to Wicked Hex. Reveal another one. So that's 3 damage. This card is revealed for defense. We're going to gain an energy. But at the same point in time, so that is 4 out of the 8 damage. Unfortunately, we'll have to discard the Mighty Maces. We'll reveal 1 more, so that's 2 with... But Jason's got block, so by playing this, in connection with this, we block enough damage, so the Knowledge is power. technically should go at the bottom of his deck. Not 100% sure if that's exactly how it works, but that's how I've read it in the rulebook. So now it's the Rangers' turn, and we got a lot of stuff to get rid of. The Wicked Hex is already activated, but we want to kill some stuff. So once again, we have we have 2 precise strikes, which are that's just perfect. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to play 2 times precise strike for a total of 4 damage. And I'm just going to take out Rita's Chain Lightning before it triggers. It then activates. It is now the Ranger's turn again. I'll place the card correctly because Trini was the lead Ranger. We have the Power Bow, and let's add some energies in the Pterodactyl, and we're going to play the Power Bow right away. So actually, we'll just take the 1. It's a 6-die attack. We're attacking the Wicked Hex. We've got rerolls. We also have the Tyrannosaurus, which can give us extra die, but I don't think we're going to need it with 6 dice. Oof. We've got 1. We've got 5. We're going to reroll 2 die. And there's a 6. So we get the Wicked Hex before it activates. It is now... Who's going to go next? Well, Kim can also go again. We're going to play the Mighty Maces. Billy wants to get in on this. Hopefully get a strong roll. With Twin Fang Teamwork, her Cruel Laughter is then defeated. I did that because I activated. So Trini's going to go for, once again, spending some energy here. As she can maybe take out some of these guys, and then we'll get back up there. We'll try the Saber-tooth Strike. I don't want these... Well, they're actually not that dangerous now that I think about it. To be honest with you, they aren't dangerous, so that's not the right move. Now, 1 energy is going to be played... Well, we've got... I think it's time for the Power Sword, to be honest. Going a little nutty here, but we're having some fun. I'm going to try to take out this card back here. The total of, yeah, that's 4, 5, 6 damage. Great roll. So we've taken this one out. This then triggers. We're in a situation now where we've got another passive, which really isn't bad, which will give us some time to potentially regen some energy, depending on what we actually have. So unfortunately, we don't have that many energy generation cards. For example, like we can play Knowledge's Power, gain 1 energy to the communal pool. Ranger of your choice may search their deck for a card and add it to their hand. If they do, they must shuffle their deck. So Trini will search their deck for a card, as we don't have much else that they can do. So we'll take another Twin Fang Teamwork there. Spend 1 energy for the Tyranno Slash. Now, don't forget, we played the Power Sword. So this is actually a 5-die attack as well, as we get 2 additional dice. And there's the 3 damage. We defeat this one. This one then triggers. We don't have to do anything else. If we have any type of maneuvers that could get cards back in our hand, for example, if Trini still had, actually, I took the Twin Fang Teamwork, which was stupid, very stupid. Smarter thing would have been to take Tenacity to get it. Oh, sorry, I dropped it. Get this back in my deck so that I get at least 1 more turn. And I could gain the group in energy and add 2 cards back in any order to my deck. So that would have been the smart thing to do, because we would have gained another energy. This would then trigger. As Rangers, we get potentially of one final turn. Don't really want to defeat anything here. I think we're good. And now we have to fight Rita again. So anything we did not beat goes back. Oh, everything that we did not beat is going to stay out there. The 4 Rita cards that we defeated are gone. And I do not believe I had anyone in the industrial district, meaning I neglected to take an action. So Billy would have just started the combat. We've got to beat Rita one more time here, as we have to defeat 6 of her cards. So what we would then do, you're going to once again, basically you draw the last 4 Rita cards, play them out. So someone else would initiate combat. Might be a good idea to do some recover actions. Passive, fast, and then guard. We draw once again 2 Putty Patroller cards. And of course, Rangers can draw back up to 5 cards. We're back in battle. We have to defeat 2 of Rita's cards to make it a total of 6 to win the game. Now, if we defeat 2 of them, but we don't survive, like all the damage, in this case, we definitely would. We have 4 energy in the command center. Victory is pretty much assured. So that's how you play the game. I'm not going to go through this. This has been a long enough how to play video as is. I hope you guys learned something. Don't forget that when it's the Ranger's turn, it's any Ranger that can go. It's not specific. That's why the lead Ranger token is important, or to remember who the lead Ranger is. And Julie and I are going to be coming back at you with our review of the game. So it's going to be back to reviewing. Saban's Power Rangers, Heroes of the Grid. What did you think of the game? And I'm definitely eager to hear your thoughts. I mean, I've got the shirt. I don't think she's seen an episode in her life, except me watching a couple episodes for nostalgia reasons recently.
Yeah, the only episodes I've ever seen are the ones that I've seen in the background while Jason played them. They weren't on at our house. Not something that we watched at home. I don't know. That's not true, actually. You dragged me to a Power Rangers movie. I think it's coming back to me now.
Yes, well, we watched. It's not this version, though, but we did go see the reboot, which was surprisingly good in terms of storytelling compared to what I think she thought it was going to be.
Anyways, I don't have experience with Power Rangers. I know Amy Jo Johnson was in it at one point, and I know we saw the Red Power Ranger at Comic-Con.
Yes, we did get to meet Austin St. John. He gave a really nice shout out to a friend of ours. Very cool. I think it made her birthday. So that being said, as you can see, Ranger fan, non-Ranger fan, that's the perspective you guys are getting on the game. I think we've done enough talking about our experience with the franchise. Let's talk about the game.
So what I was going to say is the whole point to that was I don't have any experience with it, and yet I still had fun. It was still, the mechanics of the game were a lot of fun.
You were giggling with glee a few times.
Well, that's because the powers, I like players. I like having a character that can do something, that has powers. And Trini was just so much fun when I could roll. She has a capacity to just deal out a lot of damage. And when I had in the games where I was able to pull out those rolls, it was a lot of fun. I defeated 4 monsters all by myself.
Oh, putties.
Putties, okay, not monsters. You're right. Kim's also fun too. She's got a different type. So what I think I like best about this original team, they're what again?
The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and they're totally more phenomenal.
Okay, and he said that with almost a straight face. They work very well together, I find. When it comes to a cooperative game, we really could work off of each other's strengths, the character's strengths, and really could chain a lot of things together by working together.
as a team. They very much are a team. And sort of jump in that, I want to say just because I'm a big fan of the show and I love the teamwork. I mean, I think one of the reasons why I like Power Rangers so much growing up was because I was like, man, just the way that they were friends, teammates, I was like, that'd be really cool to be part of a team like that and also be a superhero, you know? So I think that aspect, as you're talking about, is really captured in this team.
One of the other things I would say is, I think this is, for me, this is a game where I was the most impressed with the monsters. The first monster that came out in our first playthrough, Jason pulled it out and I just sat there staring at it. It was this giant pig head with a fork and a knife and a Caesar type helmet.
Yes, the Pudgy Pig, one of the most memorable monsters from the show.
Well, it was a lot of fun and very different, and that I was able to appreciate. And, you know, I had to stare at Rita Repulsa's dress a little bit because she's just, you know...
She's very over the top.
Yes. So I had a lot of fun with it. I felt that the characters, like I said, played well together, and it made, you know, going through the steps, the mechanic of this game, a lot of fun. We'll talk about in another video the expansions. We got a lot of playthrough of both of them. I can definitely say I love this version, this team, and the way that this played a lot. I think you're getting a lot of game in this box, and I definitely think whether you're a Power Rangers fan or not, if you like cooperative games, I think you're definitely going to enjoy this game.
Oh, and I agree with Julie. This was probably some of the most fun I think we've had with a game. Now, I can't go out there and say that it is the best game that I've ever played. I mean, in terms of like story and certain other elements, it's light on it, but what does it do very well? It captures the theme. It gives you the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers team. You get to play your favorite Ranger. All the powers are thematic. It is literally dripping in the lore, as well as Julie said with like Pudgy Pig. I mean, in this box you got Madame Woe, Bones, Rita Repulsa herself, and you're getting a fair bit. I would disagree a little bit saying that there's a lot of game. I think you can expand it to get a lot of game, but you definitely have a fair bit of game in this box. Also, there's a lot of variability in the game.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, you could play this game several times and not have the same monsters come out in the same order. You know, your roles are going to be different, so there's going to be a lot of variability every time you play it.
Yeah, also there's a different player count. So we played the game at 6 players. We do have the Green Ranger expansion, so there's no way we weren't playing the game with 6 players, 6 Rangers. To me, that's always been my favorite version of the team, and I think it's probably the most fun and balanced way to play the game. We had a lot of success playing this game, primarily playing with 6 characters, each of us taking 3 characters, and it was definitely a lot of fun. I was Tommy, Jason, and Zach, basically my 3 favorites, and Julie took the other 3, but she picked them herself anyway, so it kind of worked out. We found the people that we liked. But I think we both had some issues a little bit with the rule book.
Yeah, and I'll leave that to Jason. I just, because he's the one that reads it. For me, I found it frustrating because every single time we played, we won most of the time we played. Actually, I think even the very first time we played, we won.
Yes, and we made some big mistakes, some to our advantage, such as the way we handled energy. However, a lot to our detriment. We fought everything with 1 less action than we could have during the battle, so 1 less round, and we never recovered energy during the recover phase.
Yeah, so for me it was a little frustrating. I mean, every time we finished a game afterwards, Jason would say, "Oh, we did that wrong. We missed this. We missed that." So to me, that normally means,
well, not every time. Every time I'd say we made big mistakes on our first 3 playthroughs. We made 1 small mistake on our 4th playthrough that may have let us win, but I don't think it would have changed that much.
I think for me, it's more that normally that gives us an indication that there's something that could be improved with the rule book.
Yeah, and I would just, I think it's actually good to get Julie's perspective. I do most of the rules reads. I teach the game. But I think in this case, like, I know a couple of times where we're not sure if there's a player aid or something like that. It usually helps us figure out what the rules are. Typically, if the rules are clear in a list form, you'll take the rule book and be like, hey, you missed this or you missed that. And I think that's what the game is missing right now. It's missing an FAQ. It's missing a player aid. And I think we both agree that's because some of the rules are fairly counterintuitive. When you're playing a lot of games, when you're generating resources and energy and things like that, you don't typically lose them at the end of the round, as is what happens with this game. When you're fighting enemies, typically, it's like one person attacks, the other person attacks. There is no extra round. And what I think the rulebook is missing is just examples. For example, having it say on an activation with fast. So for those of you that watch Now to Play, you'll know what I'm talking about. I know it's a little long and very detailed, but there's a lot of little things to the game. That's why I spent as much time on it as I did. But how a battle involving the fast keyword would work, how the rangers would activate, when they would get their last turn. Is it possible to go ranger, or does fast get rid of that last activation? Well, I say activation, that last combat action that the rangers would have. None of that is in the rule book, but I do want to give Jonathan Ying, the designer, a lot of credit. He is incredibly active on the Power Rangers Facebook group. So they're doing a lot of stuff with regards to what's going to be coming with the Kickstarter. That's right. Back to Kickstarter, September 2nd. He's also looking to make adjustments to the 2-player mode, adding an action to the 2-player variant so that each player has a set of 3 actions now, which is going to be a big difference because it frustrated a lot of people. So lots of good stuff going on there. At the time of recording, there is no FAQ. There may be one. If there is one that comes out, I will make sure to take the time, put a link to it down below in the video description, as it should clarify some of the small questions that remain with the game and just how the information is there. It's great to read. Like, there's no problem with the structure. There's no problem with learning the rules. The problem is, I'd say, picking up those little details of a rule on the fly. And I think the last time we had problems like that was with Fantasy Flight Games, Journeys in Middle-earth. I mean, there was a couple times you're like, what do I do when my deck runs out, which is in the rule book. Completely unrelated to combat, though, that she was at the point where she didn't believe me. She took the rule book and was like, I can't find this. Not that bad level, but still, just remember, a lot of little counterintuitive details. But overall, in terms of reading and understanding and presenting the information, I'd say that the information is all presented very well.
You ready to give it a rating?
I think I'm ready to give it a rating. I mean, you talked about a lot of the positives. I talked about a lot of the positives. I will say that I do have a little bit of a negative one last thing I want to mention, and then we'll go on to the ratings. As the Green Ranger is currently a Kickstarter exclusive, I do feel like the game is just sort of missing something, because having a 6th Ranger was what really made everything like really cool. I remember that a lot of everyone was talking about Power Rangers, but then like my sister got into it with me a little bit. Then the Green Ranger showed up and we were like just into it. It was like something we'd never seen at our age in terms of our heroes. So it'd be nice for him to come to retail. I understand why he's an expansion. Makes total sense. The show started with 5 Rangers. You start with 5 Rangers. But I think it'd be nice if he came out sooner rather than later, because that was our preferred way of play, and we really enjoyed it.
I don't know the show, like I said, so I enjoyed playing 6 players, like he said.
Yes. And the lower player counts, actually, thank you, reminded me of one point, because I did try some lower player counts. You saw in the How to Play, if you feel like going back to watch it, you can see 2 full rounds of what a 4-player game looks like. I also tried it just myself with 3 players. I really did not necessarily like the 3-player rules. I think you're probably better off playing at 2, 4, 5, or 6. But this is a game that definitely, the lower the player count, the higher the difficulty goes up. So keep that in mind. That's one of the reasons why I feel like we had as much success as we did.
So since you're the biggest Power Rangers fan, what's your score of this game?
Well, I want to give it a really high score just because I love the theme and I love the game, but there are a couple of few hiccups with it. So I was thinking of almost going up to like a 9 because I'm just having so much fun. There was one time when I made an amazing roll with Zach against the villain Madame Woe, and even Julie was impressed. She was like, wait, did you just take out like 4 cards with 1 attack? And looked at it, she's like, yeah, you really did. And it was just awesome. So for those moments, I'm super excited, but not having the Green Ranger, not having access to the Green Ranger, and just some of the not wonkiness, I'd say lack of clarity, but when you're playing kind of feels like wonkiness from the rulebook, definitely knocks it down a point. So I'm going to give it an 8. I definitely think that this game could go up to a 9. There will be some changes to the rulebook for the second printing, from what I understand. Maybe even some player aids, things like that, to really get the game up there. But at this point in time, it's definitely an 8 for me. Very happy to have it. And if you're a Power Rangers fan and you love board games and this isn't in your collection, check out Kickstarter on September 2nd, because I think you really want to get that Green Ranger, or figure out a way to get those exclusives and get the game as soon as possible.
It's an 8 for me as well. I really enjoyed it, despite the fact that I'm not a Power Rangers. May have been a little bit influenced by the fact that Jason was so happy while playing it and was making all kinds of quotes that I presume come from the show. Otherwise,
I wanted to play the music in the background, but I thought that would be maybe a step too far for her.
I really enjoyed it, and I said it before. I think it's definitely something that if you like cooperative games, whether or not you like Power Rangers, I think it's a good addition to the table.
Yes, very good addition to the table. So, Julie, what's going to be happening now?
Well, at some point, there's going to be a banner that's going to appear in front of my face.
Why is there going to be a banner in front of your face?
It's going to click to other things that you could watch.
I'm going to put it down here. I don't need to do that. I only do it in front of your face when it's early in the video.
Okay.
It's the way YouTube works.
Yes, okay. Well, there'll be links to other videos, probably at some point adding to a video to the review of the expansion of this game.
Yes, so we do have Shattered Grid, so eventually you will be able to find a link to our review of Shattered Grid. And then eventually, as the game continues to develop, maybe some other videos or just a whole freaking Power Rangers playlist will show up.
I'm sure he'll buy whatever comes out.
Maybe not everything, but anything Zordon era, oh yeah.
So like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, and you'll definitely know if there's no more Power Rangers, but also other future reviews that we do.
Yes, and down below in the video description, after the timestamps and everything that we do to make it easier for you to navigate the video and find out more about the game, you can find our social media feeds: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You want to see pictures of the game, you want to see us kick Lord Draken and Rita Repulsa in the face, or hit them with the Power Axe, well, that'll be the place for you to go. We've already posted up some pictures. So, what time is it?
Is it still morphing time?
Oh, it's still morphing time. But even Rangers have to drink. So we're going to grab our drinks, grab our best friend.
We're going to keep playing games.
We're going to keep playing games. Definitely this one with some of the new content coming. I mean, it might be my personal favorite Rangers coming in the next expansion, but I get the feeling that you might really like him too. So I'm kind of worried. It's a Gold Ranger. It's like Tommy with a gold shield, but black, and yeah, but no, it's mine. You always like to steal my favorite characters, except in this game.
I don't know which ones are your favorites, so I can't pick them out.
Well, usually I play them once, or you just see me going to pick them and you say mine. That's what you did with Megan. I mean, this game combos a lot, a little bit like Street Masters. I think that's why you like it a lot.